good morning. As you can tell, I'm not quite awake yet, but I thought I would get us back to completing this journal. We only have a few more bits to do, so I hope you've had some time to watch the videos and follow along. I'd love to see your makes. If you want to post them on Instagram or Facebook and tag me, that would be great. If not, no big deal. I just thought it'd be fun to see everyone's style or makes, share our creativity. So today we're going to finish up. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to finish up with the envelopes. That's our main objective for today. So I'm going to take out these two envelopes, and hopefully we'll be able to get this done in one go. The video gets too long, I'll separate it into two parts, but for now we're gonna try to see if we can get there. So what I have here is I have my watercolors. It doesn't matter what watercolors you have. If you don't have watercolors and you have inks, or you can use your distress inks or distress oxides, whatever you want to use, whatever coloring method you want to use, but you want to have something that's liquid, that's going to move with water and whatever. So I also have, now for this next envelope, I'm going to use two boards. So you're going to want something, if you don't have boards that you use for painting on stuff like that, these are actually canvas boards that I kept for using with painting and stuff, but you can use a cutting board, but once you use it in your art, you can't really use it in your kitchen, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and find some washi tape. It's been really busy here, and well, for me, I've been really busy the past week and a half. Haven't been on much because I've been doing a complete overhaul of my studio. Clean out, organization, or I should say, and reorganization. Complete overhaul, basically. Now, I know I have washi tapes up here that are my whatever washi tapes, but for some reason I can't find them. So I'm just going to pull another one. Oh, isn't this pretty? It's kind of right up our alley. It's got like fall colors and leaves on it. We may have to put this in the journal somewhere. So I'm just going to tack, well, let's tack it down this way. So it's, because we know this one is going to go this way. So this is the top. So I'm just going to tack it down with washi tape. If you don't washi tape and you have light tack masking tape or painter's tape, you could use anything to tack down the watercolor paper. You don't need a lot of it. You just need to have it held down so you can do the process. I think it's going to be fun. I think you're going to enjoy this. And this is, again, something anybody can do. I started this project in mind with that thought, and so that's what I've kind of stuck with. Something anybody can do, and if you don't have the exact same thing I have as far as supplies, use what you have. There's always a substitution. Oh, and if you're not sure what to substitute, just put it in the comments and let me know. The next thing I've pulled out to use is some skeleton leaves. Now, if you don't have these, you can use a stamp. You can use die cuts. You can use doilies. You just need something that's going to make an impression in the paint. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I have my watercolors that kind of pre-wet a little bit, and I'm only going to be using two colors. I'm going to be using Naples yellow. It's here I'll show you. It's a dusty brown yellow because it's got white in it. So it's like a creamy yellow. So, yeah, that's more. But if you're using different colors, use colors that make sense with what you're creating with, because maybe you're not doing the same thing I'm doing, right? So I'm just going to give my paper a little bit of wet, And a little bit of water here, and I'm just gonna rub some paint on here. Oh, this brush is a little bit dirty, but that's okay. Had blue in it. That's quite okay. And I'm just gonna make sure that this whole area is wet. Okay, just like that. Just wet it up. Okay. And then I'm going to take my Naples yellow, get the paint going. Okay. And I'm going to need more than that. Definitely going to need more than that. Got a little bit of green in this well. That's fine too. Okay. And now I'm just going to put this all over the area. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just keep your area wet. You know, drop in your color that you want your leaves to be, or whatever subject matter you're using. I'm going to bring in a little bit more of that straight yellow so I get more of that than the green that I have in my well. Okay. Really get this spot wet. Make sure it stays wet. If it doesn't, you know, use your spray bottle. And it's okay if it goes outside the square. That's fine. Maybe you'll even want to encourage that as you're painting. Okay. All right. So there we go. I'm going to get this wet, and I'm going to quickly lay in my skeleton leaves. So let's put one there, put one there maybe, and put one coming up this way, and one, let's see, one this way, and then maybe just a tip of one this way. Again, make sure it stays wet. Okay. Now all you're going to do is you're going to take the other board you have, okay, and you're going to put it right on it, okay, and press down. And then what I'm going to do, very technical here, I'm going to take some books to weight it down. And I'm going to let this dry for a bit. I don't know, half hour, whatever. Just, you know, give it a good bit of time to dry with the weight on it, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I'm going to let this one dry, and while we let this one dry, I'm going to go on to the other one. So carefully take this and put this over here so it can dry. Okay, let that just do its thing over there. Let it sit and cook, incubate for a little while. Okay, and then the next one, I've got another board here. This is just a Masonite clipboard. These are great for working on watercolor if you don't have it. Now this one is going to flip this way, so I want to make sure that my up is up. Okay, and again I'm going to take my washi tape. Oh wait, before we do the washi, we got to do one other thing. So I've got a stamp set out here, okay, and we're going to do some embossing. If you don't have embossing powders, don't worry about it. Just stamp regularly. I'm going to use embossing. And get my supplies. I have a tray for, let me move this over here for a second. Put my embossing powder. Let's see, I want to get a color. So hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. Oh goodness, hold on. Okay, hopefully the dogs will not interrupt us again. We do actually, I don't know what I was thinking. I am going to tape this down because the envelope wants to pop up, right? Because it's natural folding position. Oh goodness, hold on. Okay, let's try this again. Shall we? Okay. Okay, just get this good there. And So again, this is the flap, so I want to make sure that it's in the position, so, or at least I remember my up. Well, this really doesn't matter because there really is no direction for the design, but that's just always a good idea to keep in mind, okay? So I'm going to get all my embossing ink. This is Versamark. Let me get a block here. Okay, this is a big one. There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to put this stamp on a block. This just makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to put my, give it a good gluing, and let's do this one. Yeah, let's just do this one. Which way is it going? Let's just do it this way. Right on there. Now, my block isn't big enough, so I'm just giving these, I don't know if they got glue on them or not. This doesn't have to be perfect, right? Okay. Got a little bit of color there. Let's see if this will stick. Did I get in the middle? I don't know. This might be really less than perfect because I wasn't, maybe I didn't get enough ink, or glue rather, in the, oh no, I got some of this. Oh, and I forgot one thing. Oh goodness, I am definitely not with it. Hold on one second. Okay. This is, if you don't have this, it's an embossing buddy. Get yourself pair of nylons or some something to hold baby powder, and put baby powder in there. That'll prevent you from having to do what I'm doing right now, which is wipe off the extra. So I'm going to do that over here off camera really quick. Yeah, get off that extra powder that doesn't need to be there. Okay, we're good. All right, so that one's ready. So then let's see here. Put this back in the container. Oh, what the? Oh, it's got a cap on it. Good job. This is the first time using this. I recently got this from off of Amazon because I needed one, and I didn't take out the plug. Oh, but it's so much easier and cleaner. I gotta say, if you don't have one of these, it's the way to go. Okay, so I'm gonna set that over there for a second. Put that back up there. Now I'm going to get out one of the other stamps. So get yourself a variety of stamps. It could be flowers, it could be leaves, you know, something that's going to go along with your aesthetic if you're not following along or using the same kit. So I'm just going to, you never want to, you know, you always want to give your stamps a good go with the wipey to clean them. Be a good stamp parent. Okay, put this one on there. Now let's see. Now you can see I got a lot of it, but not all of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I really ink up that middle. Get it nice and juicy. Make sure you got how much ever of the stamp you. Sometimes you don't want to use the whole stamp, but so just make sure you get it nice and wet. Okay. And embossing buddy. I'm just going to put this over here really quick. That's all it takes. And let's see, this one's going to go right here. Give it a good press. Okay. Oh, there we go. And let's do this. Much better. I I did emboss buddy everywhere, so here I am again. I'm so bad when it comes to using that. And I've had it forever, and I've used it many times, but I still don't remember sometimes how much area I want to cover with it. Oy. Okay. And apparently I did not, I didn't go over the outer edges because we're not really doing a lot to the flaps other than we're going to put some paint on them and stuff. Okay. Get this back in over there. Okay. All right, and then the last stamp. I love this stamp set from Tim Holtz. It's one of my favorites. And, actually, I love all the ones I have. This one I just really love. Okay, now I know I'm going to go over in this area, so let me just put the embossing buddy on there, just to make sure. This time, I got it covered. Uh-oh, the dogs again. Hold on. All right. Ink this up really good. Go lay down and be quiet. Did I get that? I think so. Okay. And then let's just do this one. No, let's do it this way. Some good pressure. Okay. Put that over there. Done with that. I'm going to give this a good shake. This set adapters has a lot of bigger crystals in it, so you want to give it a good shake before you use it. That'll make sure you get all the different crystals that are in that one particular powder. Okay. Much better. Okay, much better. All right, now we're ready to rock and roll. I'm going to emboss these really quick. Okay, put this over there, this away, out of the way. I don't like to work in a cluttered space. It drives me absolutely bonkers. Are you guys like that? Oh, I know some people can work in organized chaos, but I can't do it. I mean, if I have to do it, for a few minutes while I'm on camera or whatever, I'm fine with it, but I just can't do it on a regular basis. So even when I'm working, you see I have to, clear out my space. It's just, I guess because I'm a type A kind of person, that, yeah. So let's get your heat gun nice and hot. Let it heat up for a second or two, and then bring it to your paper. Okay, I think I got it all. Looks like it. Okay, now I'm gonna let it cool for a second. Let's put our tape back on there. That's another trick of the trade. If you didn't use washi tape or a low tack tape, and you used something like the Scotch tape or what do you call it? Masking tape, something that's got a heavier stickiness to it or tack to it. Use your heat gun to the tape, and it'll release it from your paper. That's just a little trick I picked up a long time ago. Oh, we may need that. All right, now make sure this is kind of cooled off. That's not going to stick to your brush, and I'm just going to give this a good to clean off any residual powders. Okay. All right, now here we're going to, okay, so I'm going to use a blue that again goes along with the kit. So I'm going to use indigo. Let's use the darker indigo. Yeah, that's the one I want. Okay. Get nice and juicy. There we go. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. There's that. Okay. Now we're going to put a little bit of green in there. Hold on, the cat is trying to invade at the moment. Don't walk on. No, that's your side right there. No, no, no. Oh, now you got paint on you. No, it's not to eat. Don't lick it. Don't sniff it. Don't anything. Yeah, now you've got blue watercolor all over your paw. Silly kitty. First time I've had to clean his paws. All right. Oh, animals. It's like a three-ring circus around here. Tell you what. Okay, so let me clean my brush. Let's get a green. Let's see. I'm going to use deep sap green. It's like a hunter green. And again, this is indigo. This is quite regular color in most palettes, even if you have student grade paints. If you don't have watercolors or you're using inks, again, just get something that's a dark green and something that's a dark denim color blue. That's really what you're going for, those two colors. Okay. Okay. Now, all I'm going to do is wet my paper. Okay. Wet my paper. And then I'm just going to take my colors and just kind of, bring them down a little bit. Tilt my board in the direction I want, and it doesn't matter. Oop, I kind of put the green inside the flower. But you see how you'll see the watercolor is going to resist the embossing powder. See how it resists it? Okay. See, it's going around it. So let's bring it in there a little bit. Let's just bring some movement on this side now. Kind of, just tilt your board the way you see that you like it. You just want to get some color going. And then, make it kind of, you can guide it to fall and use your brush. These are the leaves and stuff, so I'm making sure that the green gets in there. There, a little bit there, and there. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is my brush. That's what I was looking for. Dry it off. Then get the blue. Make sure it's wet enough, but not too wet. And I'm going to do a little bit of painting. And again, I'm just going within where the flower is. A little bit around it. It doesn't matter if you make a mess and get outside of it. You just kind of want to make sure you're in wherever your subject matter is with whatever color you're using. Maybe you're doing pumpkins and you're using a pumpkin stamp and you want to, get your orange again there. Okay, let me get the buds that are blue. Here's a bud here. I'm just dabbing in color, you see. I'm not doing anything fancy. There's some buds over here. Okay, nothing fancy going on here. Just dipping my brush in. Okay, get more paint. Get this here. We want to get some movement on that. But see how the watercolor is so fun. You can use your stamps more and more. Kind of go outside your lines a little bit so it looks natural, not so contrived. Okay, so that's why I'm not being precise on purpose, because I don't care if the blue blends out a little bit. Okay, go over here. I mean, you kind of actually want to encourage that, so you get some good blending going on. Let it just do its thing. Okay. Don't touch your wet work. And then, because I want it to be a little more not so I'm gonna just put some drops of water on the edges of those flowers, and kind of let it wick out a little bit. Not spraying it, I'm just putting drops. It's okay if you put a lot. It's fine, it'll dry. It's water and it's watercolor paper. You get some good movement going on in your paper. You don't want to completely let the paint out or wash away all the paint, but you want to get some good mixture going on. And maybe you like drips, and if you like splatters, do splatters afterwards. Okay, so now I'm going to dry this. I'm going to check on our friend over there and make sure that's dry, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish them up. Okay, be right back. Okay, I'm back. Our friend is almost ready over there, and while that's sitting for just another couple minutes before I dry it, or to kind of let it dry on its own, I'm just going to take some paint. This has already been dried now, and I want to kind of give it a little bit of contrast within the flowers, so they're brought out a little more. So we're just going to take a little bit of paint on my brush and just go in some of the petals a little bit. Not all of them, just a little. Dab in some paint, and then I'm going to put some water on my brush, dab it off. You don't want it too wet. And then I'm gonna just swipe the edge of that paint, and here the cat is in the bathroom doing something. So yeah, just go in some of the places, some of the corners with some darker blue, or whatever color you're using, to give the petals some contrast. And maybe you want to put a little bit more paint in some of the buds. Again, you adapt this to, if you're not using the same thing, adapt this to what you're doing on yours. Okay, and it just starts to bring out the flower a little more. you're just dabbing in color, and bringing in some water to move the paint a little bit. You're just touching the edge of that paint and bringing it out a little bit. Okay? And that right away starts to bring in more depth, okay, to your flower. I'm going to do the same thing with these other ones. Add in some paint in some of the corners and petals and things. And this one, the flower got what we call lost and found edges, and that's okay. I'm just going to go where I see petals. Again, you want a damp brush, but not completely saturated. Oh, now the dogs are being rambunctious. Go lay down and be quiet. I'm just going to kind of bring in where some those lost and found edges are, so I can, you know, make it look like it was complete. And I'm just kind of wiggling my brush around to give it some more contrast. And I'm like skipping to every other petal. I'm not doing them all. The center of the flower would be the darkest, or wherever the hidden spot, if you're doing leaves, maybe you have one leaf over another one, so the darkest spot would be where they meet. Okay. So you're just dabbing and moving it, dabbing and moving the paint with water. Okay. So look at that. A little bit there, a bit there, and there, and there, and there. Okay. Okay. All right. So right away, you can tell the difference between, this flower and these two flowers. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just go in some of the places. Skip around. And I'm just bringing it out. Kind of washing away that edge. So you don't get hard edges. Okay. There we go. Let's put a little bit, because again it would be darkest in the middle. And that's the nice thing about using embossing powder, is it resists the water and you don't have to worry about it washing away while you're trying to work. Let's make this center a little bit darker too. There. This is especially good if you haven't practiced drawing enough. To use a stamp. If you knew. If you're not, you probably already know this. Okay. I think that's good. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys see that. Okay. And I'm going to set this over here to sit and dry a little bit. Then I'm going to get our friend here and take off our two books. Take off our top board. And now I just want to check it. Okay, now I'm going to dry it a little bit with the leaves on there, or your die cut, or your doilies, whatever your paper product you're using. Just dry it a little bit. until it starts the leaf starts to release from the paper completely. Let it do it on its own. Let it dry and release from the paper on its own. You'll get a much better imprint that way. See how it's really, I don't know if you got, yeah, I think you're seeing that. Wherever it's gonna, you'll see it start to release from the paper. Fry it up really good. Now my lines are really light right now, but we're gonna fix that in just a second. The cat is playing with his toy. He jumps around with it. He's so goofy. He's doing a Tigger impression, literally. I'm going to have to try to catch it on camera one day. Okay, so now the first thing I want to do is I want to take that hunter green color that we were using on the other one. Make sure I have a good amount of paint and water. Okay. Okay, load up your brush. And now I want to paint around my leaves. Okay. No, you could pre-wet it if you want. In fact, let me go ahead and do that. Let me rinse off my brush. So I'm just going to go where I'm going to put, water where I'm going to put my green color. Okay. This will help if you want it to be flowy. If you don't want it to be flowy, don't pre-wet it. Okay. Just put it on there and spread it out with your brush like we did with the flowers and the blue. Okay, let's see here. There's a little bit of there and a little bit here. And whenever you're doing this, you want to go out further than where you're going to paint, because you don't want to get hard edges, and the paint's going to go where it's wet. Okay. So I'm just going to pre-wet this. And it's okay that I have a little blue in my brush. My water's dirty, and that's okay. But, okay. Make sure you're wet wherever you want it to be, wherever you want the paint to go. Okay. This is just going to give it a little bit of help, and you can wet it as you go along. Okay, my leaves are starting to come out a little bit more, but you're going to really see them come out now. Okay, so I'm going to go and just start painting along the edge of the leaf. And then take my brush and help the paint travel. Doesn't have to be precise, you know, just give it a go. And if you get an edge that you don't like, you can always just take some water to it, as long as it's still wet, and spread it out. Okay. And let's see, go here. And that's okay that the tape is coming off. That is quite okay. And let's see, we're going to paint this area here. And if you put too much paint or you want it, to lighten it up a little bit in places, go over it. That's fine too. Just take your wet brush. Just rinse it out. Okay. It's going along the outside of your image. Okay. Oops, I got a little messy there. That's okay. That is quite okay. Again, if you don't want to have hard edges, make sure that you have you've taken your wetness out, or you've spread out your paint as far as it will go, because it will travel. Okay. Light that up a little bit. Okay. Soften that a little bit. A little bit. Okay. All right. Okay. Going with a little bit more paint in some areas. Oops. Got a lint. Lint on my brush. Okay. And this time I'm going to purposely, when I go in a second time, I'm going to purposely soften that edge. And this is just meant to be fun. It's not meant to be perfect. Okay, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is this? Oh, what is? Oh, I see there. There's actually more. Why doesn't it look right? Okay, so I'm going to come up here and actually join these two. Kind of blend them in together. Soften my edges. There we go. If you're going to go over it, make sure you go over it all the way, or it's not going to look right. That looks a little bit better. And I'm going to go all the way out to the edge of my envelope. Okay, so let's dry that up. Time is it? 45 minutes already? Oh, good grief. Okay, let's just dry this up a second. Okay, now I'm going to quickly take a brown, like a red brown. Let's use, I'm going to use some burnt sienna and just kind of go in my palette here wherever I've got some browns going on. Okay, and it can be dirty, it doesn't matter, except for the lint. We don't want lint. We don't want lint. No lint. Okay. And you can do this in stages where you can just leave it to dry overnight. If you don't have a heat gun or you don't want to use a heat gun, that's quite okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly go over the leaves in places to give it some contrast. And then I'm going to put the leaves back on there. Okay. So I'm just going to like dab in some color here. Let's dab in some color there. Kind of, and then take a wet brush and kind of, fade out, soften those edges a little bit. Doesn't matter, let it, wick out and be all funky, as we say. No, I don't know who you are, so I can't talk to you right now. All right. So now I'm just going to wet this, and while this is wet, while this is still wet, I'm going to put my leaf back on there. Let's see, oh, this way. Okay. And it doesn't matter in this case because it's leaves. And I might even dab in some of the color right onto the leaf here. It's going to give it some nice little bits of contrast, see? So just let it be. Let it be. And be random. Don't be, so again, this is a loose little fun thing. And you can use all sorts of colors. You can use reds and, yellows and, because it's leaves, right? But I'm just going to use this brown burnt sienna color. Okay, leaf back on there. And then I'm going to drop in some pure color. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to do that for all of them really quick. And I'm being just all kinds of loose with it. Put the leaf back on there. Let's get this way. And then I'm going to drop in some, oops. It needs to be wet. There we go. Let's do some into the green where the tip would be. Okay. You just want a contrasting color. I'm not sure if I said that. Make sure you're wet. Oops. Go back on the Okay. Last one. Okay. Then put your board back on and let it dry until it's dry all by itself. And then you will have a nice polish or whatever design you're doing look to that envelope. So I'm going to let that one dry, and then I'll come back and show you what mine looks like. Let's see how our envelope here is doing. Make sure this one is dry too before you do anything with it. Just let them both dry naturally by themselves. You could use your heat gun, but I would just prefer to let them dry. So I will come back once they're dry, and then we'll be done. Okay, see you guys in a bit.